Hello, everyone, and welcome to World Pro Racing. Apologies for the slow start there. I didn't realize that I was muted, so I'm going to have to do my intro all over again. Apologies for that. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Casual Wednesdays. This is World Pro Racing from Toban Raceway Park, and today we have some BTCC cars from the British Touring Car Championship. Having a couple of server issues at the minute, but I will be right there to run you through the order so far in the official practice session. And yeah, then we will be underway. We're going to have a 15-minute qualifying session coming up for you in just a couple of minutes, followed by a 25-lap race. And that is all taking place on the fictional Toban Raceway circuit. But just because it's fictional doesn't mean that the action is going to be any less real. Sorry, I absolutely love touring cars. I've always said that they are some of the most fantastic racing cars on the planet. There are so many different types of them, and so many different lines you can take through the corners. So many different ways to overtake. It's really quite an incredible racing category, the touring cars. Heck, sorry, I'm just getting cooled. There we go, sorted that out. Jolly good. Anyway, joining the server now, I can see that we do have a few drivers who have set laps already. I believe top of the order as of present is actually a NASCAR driver, Alan Day. So you may recognize that name. He's twice been NASCAR Well Euro Series champion, and he's also raced in the NASCAR Cup Series as well in the US. So definitely a name that you may recognize, and one that I'm sure will be one to look out for today. Of course, Alan Day, I haven't seen him racing on a simulator before, but definitely a driver who comes in with a big reputation, and definitely one of the favourites for the victory today. In terms of the order, we currently have Alan Day at the top with a 1 minute 0.544, followed by Matthew Gallia, Thomas Lechevre, who won our last casual race, actually, which was at the Silverstone International Circuit just a week ago. That, of course, racing Formula 3 cars. Then we have... let me see. Let me do my best impression at saying that, pronouncing this name right. Kazimierz Shevowuk, I believe, if I'm sticking to Polish pronunciation. I hope I pronounced that correctly, and if I didn't, I'm really sorry. Then we have Sheldon Scott Muscat, not related to Jason Muscat or our race steward George Muscat, as far as I know. Naranjan Kumar, who I've raced against in the past and commentated on in the past, he seems to get everywhere. Naranjan Kumar, very versatile. He's raced touring cars, he's raced prototypes, he's raced single-seaters, and he's been there or thereabouts in all of them. Gianluigi Carrao, a real regular with World Pro Racing, who also raced in our TCR Championship when we did that last year. So definitely no stranger to a touring car, and did relatively well in that as well. Jos Luis Bordonado joins us today, I believe, for the first time in this series, as well as Tony Mellor and Jimmy Poole. So 10 drivers so far, and that is the order that they are going to be, or that they're running in as of present. And I will be able to inform you more what's going on when I've actually joined the server, but unfortunately everything is being really quite slow. 1.6 mile course we have here, Toban Raceway Park. It's a circuit based in California, USA. Of course, if you went to California, you wouldn't find the circuit anyway because it doesn't technically exist, but still. It was initially made for rFactor 1 when the original rFactor came out in 2005, and it's been remastered and rebuilt for this rFactor 2, which we're using today. And yeah, it's a very popular circuit, especially for testing cars, and also for club racing, which is what we're doing here today. And should everything load in okay, I will be able to talk you through a complete lap of the Toban Raceway Park short circuit. and just show you exactly what we're dealing with today. One thing about this circuit is that it's quite narrow, and also the grass and the curbs are right by the edge of the circuit. There really isn't much room for error, and you have much. You have tire walls and concrete barriers right up close to the circuit, very much like a classic touring car circuit, like the kinds that we're used to seeing in reality. So yeah, it doesn't really matter that this track doesn't exist in the real world, because it might as well do, and it's just as good as a track that does. Let's see if we can find a driver who is about to go into a flying lap so I can talk you through. Well, I think first actually I should tell you what cars we actually have here today. We have the Ford Focus ST as driven by Alan Day and Matthew Galley at the top of the time so far, as well as Gianluigi Corrao, and as well as the Ford Focuses with the front-wheel drive layout. We also have the rear-wheel drive Subaru Levorg BTCC as driven by Thomas de Chevre, Naranjan Kumar, Tony Mellor, Jose Luis Bordonado, and Jimmy Paul, and then two Mercedes, the Mercedes A35 AMG of Kazimierz Chevrolet. I think I'm pronouncing that more or less okay, and also Sheldon Scott Muscat. So three different cars, three different types of cars we have here today. We have, I think, three Fords, three Fords, two Mercedes, and then the rest of them, of course, the other five are the Subarus. So Subaru's proving to be the most popular, but the top of those is currently Thomas de Chevre, only in third position, and still 7/10 off the leader. Will the Subarus come of age towards the end of the session, or will it still be the two Fords who or the two leading Fords who show us how it's done when we get into qualifying and possibly the race later on. So we have just 8.5 minutes remaining of qualifying, official practice left. And I should give a shout out to everyone watching us currently in the YouTube and the Facebook streams. Of course, we are live on both YouTube and Facebook. And on Facebook, Matthew Gallia says, are you pronouncing my surname right this time? I hope so. I believe it's Gallia. I did ask you that in the interview before, and I think you said Gallia, unless I'm remembering that completely wrong. And I'm so sorry if I'm not pronouncing it right, but I'm giving it my best shot. It's either Gallia or Galea, but anyway. Shouted as well to Triple Crown Racing joining us as well, and I may as well plug the Triple Crown Racing podcast while I'm at it, as you know, they're not partnered with World Pro Racing, although it is a podcast that I'm also involved with. So I'm just going to give a sneaky little plug there, and shout out to Jack and Chris from the Triple Crown Racing podcast, who are both watching along with us in the YouTube chat. So I believe that's everyone who's left comments for now, and we hope you continue to enjoy this broadcast as it goes on, and as we go through qualifying and the 25-lap race. And also, we hope that if you're watching us and you haven't left a comment yet, then you will maybe say hi. Just let us know that you're watching and you're enjoying it. And yeah, we hope that you will all continue to watch and enjoy this stream as it goes on. So just under 7 minutes left in this session. I should say this time, seeing as we weren't introduced as usual by Adrian Figallo, since Adrian is unfortunately ill today. I should give credit to Adrian, who still helped to set up the stream as normal, and we hope he will be back to health and back to helping us next time out. And also to Justin Mifsud, who is organising this race and streaming it, as far as I know, and also to George Muscat, our live race steward. So thank you to everyone helping us. Thank you to everyone helping us broadcast this casual race and bring it to you, and also organise it. And touring cars at a circuit like Toban, surely it's going to be a great event, and I'm very much looking forward to it. Anyway, let's finally get around to doing what I said I'd do, and let's see if we can find a driver who's just about to start a flying lap. I'm interested in ooh, who's coming to the end of a lap? I think. Okay, let's go to Chevrolet, because Chevrolet is the lead Mercedes, and he's just crossing the start-finish line at this point in time. Turn one, it's a fast right-hander. You see him tapping the brakes, and then it gets tighter. Whoa! As he goes off to the inside, and unfortunately abandons that lap. So let's go back to Tony Mella instead, as Mella is about to start a flying lap, and we'll see hopefully a bit more of the circuit than Chevrolet just showed us. So as you can see, turn one, it tightens to the second apex. That was much smoother there from Mella as he goes through turn two, and then cuts into the inside section of the track, goes through turn three, and then four is a left-hander. This section of the track is completely flat. It goes left, right, and then left again. Important to keep it out of the grass, because if you tag the grass there, you will lose all sorts of momentum from your car, and all sorts of grip from your tires. We then have a long right-hander, gets over the grass. Oh, big twitch and into the barrier. And unfortunately, it looks to me as if no one wants to show us a full lap, as Tony Mella crashes out of that one. That's a big shame. I think I'll give that another shot in qualifying possibly, and see if we can get someone to actually show us a full lap of the circuit. Let's go back to Chevrolet actually, because I know he's on an outlap, but he is just where we left off, and he is about to set up for another flying lap. There you see probably the trickiest corner on the track, as you hop over the curb to the right and try not to cut the penultimate corner, and then attempt a good exit out of the final corner as you shoot across the start-finish line. Finally, I've been able to show you a successful full lap of the circuit. Not in one go, admittedly, but still. There you have it. That is the short version of the Toban Raceway Park here with World Pro Racing. So just a couple of minutes to go now before the qualifying session, the 15-minute qualifying session that will take place in just a couple of minutes. And of course, with a track this short, the problem may well be traffic. We don't really have that many cars here today, only 10, but still, traffic may well be an issue, as a short track means that they're all very, very bunched up and all fighting for track position. And it's going to be essential as well, with just a 15-minute qualifying session, to find that clean space on the road and to find that that place where you can go out and set a flying lap. And we've seen that being a little bit of an issue so far in the practice session. Admittedly, of course, practice not quite as important as qualifying, but still, we have seen a little bit of struggling for pace. Meanwhile, Alan Day goes back out onto the track in his Ford. He's just about to set up for his for another flying lap in this practice session. Of course, Alan Day, definitely the most famous driver in the field. I've mentioned him already. His career highlights include winning the Asian Formula Renault Challenge in 2009, then going to race a couple of rounds in the F3 Euro Series in 2011. Incidentally, the champion that year was future Formula One driver Roberto Merri. So Alan Day has definitely mixed and raced with a couple of pretty high-ranking drivers. He then raced in the 2012 Indy Lights Series, which went on to be won by Tristan Vautier, sorry. I don't know why I read it like that. That was really fancy of me. Sorry, Tristan Vautier. Of course, Alan Day was only able to run the first half of that season, but had a couple of good results in that, and then went to the FIA GT Series in 2013, winning a round at Zandvoort. Since then, he's been involved primarily with NASCAR, making a couple of Cup Series starts in the US, and also some Xfinity Series and Truck Series starts. and winning several rounds of the NASCAR William Euro Series. Actually, one of the William Euro Series most successful drivers in history. And he's been champion in that league twice in 2017 and 2018. So Alan Day, definitely a very successful racing driver, and it's great to see him here today, and great to see him racing with World Pro Racing. We have had some high-ranking drivers racing with us in the past. Of course, Kevin Siggy won our Grip G1 series last year, our virtual series, and we've also had some of the main series G1 drivers racing with us, such as Davide Delara, Yaron Stern, and also other drivers of that category. And of course, probably one of the other most famous drivers that World Pro Racing has ever seen on one of our circuits is Enzo Benito, who we saw winning a Grip G1 race for us quite recently. And he, of course, has raced in the Race of Champions, quite famously beating Lucas di Grassi in 2019. Anyway, the checkered flag is now falling on the practice session here at Toban. Alan Day set the fastest lap of anyone with a 1 minute dead 0.544. That's over a tenth of a second faster than Matthew Gallia, in second position. I'm going to say Galea. I think that sounds more Italian. I'm so sorry. I should have checked this. Should have checked to see whether I was getting that right or not. Thomas de Chevret, last time out, our winner back at Silverstone. And then Tony Mellor, Naranjan Kumar, Kashimira Chevrowick, Sheldon Scott Muscat, Gianni Chicaro, and Jose Luis Bordonado. And then rounding out the 10 cars, Jimmy Poole. Anyway, qualifying. A 15-minute qualifying session is about to get underway. And here it goes. It appears that the first driver out on track looks if it's going to be Tony Mellor. So Mellor looks if he's going to get to the end of the pit lane first and be the first driver to see this track in anger. The driver who was 4th place in the practice session. At Sedhead 2 says at Caitlin Penny commentary, Day also ran in the Xfinity series. Yes, he did, nearly winning in the rain at Mid-Ohio. Thank you for thank you for that piece of information. There, I'm pretty sure you told me that story before, actually, Sedhead or Chris. Yeah, I think I remember you telling me that. So yeah, thanks for the information. But yeah, it's fantastic to see Alan Day racing with us and currently top of the times. To be honest, this circuit, Toban Raceway Park, quite similar to the Mid-Ohio circuit in terms of the feel to the track. It's very much a classic sort of grass by the side of the circuit sort of track. And I can imagine that Alan Day will feel right at home here. Meanwhile, Tony Mellor is going to take us onto a flying lap for the first time in this session. There he goes around the outside of Jimmy Poole in turn 1 and clips the second apex nicely as he shoots out towards the middle of the circuit. Let's ride on board with him, actually, if we're not already doing that, as we head into the cut through. And the fast middle sector, left, right, and then left again. And this has been a pretty good start to the lap from Tony Mellor, second fastest Subaru in the practice session, and hoping to pip Thomas de Chevret to at least be the top Subaru and top rear-wheel drive car here today. Jumping over the curb to the left, and he's about to jump over another curb to the right, probably the trickiest corner on track from memory. And attempting to get the best exit. He's got Matthew Gallia in the distance there, who may be providing a slight distant tow, although not much of one because he's a little way ahead. And it's a 101.408, so that's the benchmark for Tony Mellor so far. Naranjan Kumar cannot go quicker just yet, and neither can Gianluigi Carau. So the first 3 drivers have set laps so far. Chevrowick just sets a lap in 3rd position there, 101.981, so that's 3rd for Chevrowick so far. But we're waiting for other drivers to set their first flying laps. Let's watch. Oh, Sheldon Scott Muscat goes 3rd now with a 0.850. But let's watch Alan Day on his first flying lap. He's just coming through the final section of the course. Slight lockup there on the front right, as is so easy to do on a front-wheel drive touring car. Through the final corner, going for the exit speed, and Alan Day crosses the line and goes first with a 1 minute 1 minute dead, sorry, 0.557. So Day goes to the top. Brilliant lap there. And Matthew Galea now has gone to second position. Galea, sorry, goes to second position with a 1 minute 0.919. That's over 0.3 of a second off Day, who we can see just ahead of him on the track there. And the only other driver we're waiting for so far in terms of setting his first lap is Jose Luis Bordonado. And when he set his first lap, we will be able to see exactly the provisional order in this this qualifying session after the first 4 to 5 minutes. Bordonado just about exiting the final sector of the course here. He is on a flying lap, and we'll see just what he can do. Misses the apex slightly, gets a slight lockup. That didn't look like the best of exit speeds. Meanwhile, the top two drivers are in the pits, obviously feeling that they've done enough for now, and they want to either change tyres or wait and go back at it on another occasion. Incidentally, the reason that Bordonado hadn't set a lap is because he'd actually pulled into the pits after his out lap, meaning that was his out lap that I was just watching, and now he is on a his first actual flying lap. Should be going faster this time around, and we'll see exactly what Bordonado can do. Another driver who's definitely capable of more is Thomas Lechevre. He was our fastest driver, fastest Subaru in practice, and unfortunately only 8th place as of yet. Unfortunately, we've lost Chevrolet from the server, so hopefully he can make it back in. Whoa, as Bordonado has a big spin there and cuts that lap out. So unfortunately, it looks as if there's going to be even more time to wait before we see Bordonado's first representative lap time. But yeah, Chevrolet unfortunately has left, and hopefully he can make it back in time. Otherwise, we will have a single-digit number of cars. Still, only takes 2 cars to make a race, and we have 9, so that's definitely more than enough as of yet. Meanwhile, the top 2 guys are about to go onto another lap and have another attempt at a flying lap. Alan Day, I think, I'm not sure whether he's just started a flying lap or whether he's just exited the pit lane. I think he's just exited the pit lane, whereas Matthew Galea is just starting another flying lap now. So let's watch Matthew Galea as he... Oh, this is going to be close, actually, with Tony Mella just ahead of him. Hopefully Mella gets the blue flags and gets out of the way in time. That's a bit close. I don't think Galea would have been held up by that, but it looked a little bit hairy. Lechevre's had another spin there on the outside. So Lechevre is struggling as of yet, and needs to get his act together. We've seen much more from Lechevre in the past. He's only done 1 race with World Pro Racing before, but he did win it, giving him a 100% record. As Galea heads towards the final sector of the course. His sector times, I don't think, have been quite as good as his best lap so far, although I have no way of checking. So you need to wait for him to set his lap. He's just coming out of the final corner, running over a cone there that had been kicked onto the track by Muscat ahead of him. However, that was an improvement for Matthew Galea. He didn't quite jump Alan Day, but it was a slight improvement from Matthew Galea. Good job from him. And does a 10.720 as of yet. Decent lap from Matthew Galea, and continues to head on his way with 7.5 minutes remaining in the session. Alan Day is back in the pit lane, so not going to go for another flying lap just yet, and actually exiting the pit lane now. So Alan Day obviously just putting on a fresh set of tyres and going back out for another stint. but still has plenty of time in which to set another lap. He's got a decent margin of still over 1.5 tenths of a second in the lead from Matthew Galea. And still just 7 minutes remaining in the session, so that's a decent amount of time. Still definitely time left to do something. I should point out that Chevrolet has returned to the session, so we do have 10 drivers again. Jimmy Poole jumps up to 5th position, and that's really good, seeing as Poole was only 10th in practice. So Poole's obviously found some pace, and he jumps up to 5th position. And is there more to come from that Subaru? Currently, the highest placed Subaru is Niranjan Kumar in 3rd position, the Indian driver, who also races in GPWC Super Cup, which is a league that is also being raced in by Dean Vella and Bernard Vella, 2 drivers who have raced with us in World Pro Racing in the past, as well as Roman Ivanov. But yeah, Kumar continuing on his way in 3rd position so far. Not a bad performance. And I think he himself is on another flying lap. So let's see what he can do as he heads around the long downhill right-hander. Misses the first apex slightly, but that's okay. It's the second apex that matters more, as that's what sets you up for that corner there, that left-hand flick over what looks like a little bridge. But a bit of a slide there for Niranjan Kumar. May cost him a bit of momentum, and I don't think this lap is going to be any quicker. Well, it certainly won't be now, as he runs over the grass on the outside. No improvement from Niranjan Kumar, unsurprisingly. Oh, there was an improvement from Kumar. Scratch that. 101.073. And I tell you what, Kumar can definitely go faster than that, because he made quite a few mistakes on that lap. And if he can get those sorted out, whoa, as he has a big slide and a spin into the grass. But if he can have another attempt at that and sort that out, he will definitely be able to take several tenths of a second off his lap, and may well be able to challenge Matthew Galea. Meanwhile, Alan Day sets another fastest lap, another provisional pole position. It's a 1:0.426. That's a very decent lap from Alon Day there. I don't think decent is quite the word for it, actually. It's a pretty blistering lap. Meanwhile, Tony Mellor jumps up to 4th position. No, sorry, that wasn't him getting a place. Not entirely sure who did that. What about Jose Luis Bordonado? Can he finally set his first flying lap? If he does, that'll mean all 10 drivers will have done. No, he's just starting his first flying lap, sorry. Or at least it will be his first flying lap if he keeps it clean and if he manages to deliver it. 9 drivers have set laps so far. They're separated by 1.6 seconds. But we do have 10 drivers in this field, with just Bordonado yet to show us exactly what he can do. And other drivers I'm sure we're waiting to see more from. Lechevre, he's got more up his sleeve. And possibly Niranjan Kumar as well. And also Chevrolet. Of course, Chevrolet was the top Mercedes in practice. He's only 9th position as of yet, making him technically the 2nd best Mercedes, as there are only 2. But, well, I know it's pretty cliche to compare other series to Formula 1, but let's face it, Formula 1 fans won't be familiar with Mercedes running 8th and 9th. Meanwhile, Jose Luis Bordonado has set his first flying lap, meaning all 10 drivers have set laps. They are separated now by just under, or just over 1.9 seconds. And it's Day from Galea, Kumar, Mellor, Carrao, Poole, Lechevre, Muscat, Chevrolet, and Bordonado. But we have 2 minutes remaining in this session, so still plenty of time left for drivers to go faster. 2.5 minutes left, and I'm interested in the top of the order. Alan Day going on to another flying lap, but of course Day doesn't need to go any quicker. He wants to, of course. He wants to prove himself. He wants to prove to everyone else that he can go even quicker, and he wants to give himself that extra safety buffer. But of course, there's no guarantee that anyone else will be able to improve on their laps anyway. Gallia crossing the line now to start another flying lap. And gets it a little bit sideways through turn 1. There was a car on the outside there. He may have got a little bit distracted by that. But the lap may still be on. I'm not sure how good his previous flying lap was. Meanwhile, Gianluigi Carrao goes up into 4th place. Not a bad lap from him. He jumps Tony Mello with that one. Back to Matthew Gallia. He doesn't have to worry about pressure from Kumar just yet. Kumar's in the pits, although is actually exiting the pits now. So Kumar's going to get one more opportunity at this lap. At this time, also exiting the pits for the final time. Pretty much everyone. Oh my goodness. Alan Day coming out as well. Although, judging by where he is on the circuit, may not get another opportunity. Matthew Gallia crossing the line to finish another lap. And it's not an improvement. In fact, I don't think it was valid. But he now starts his final flying lap of the session. His final chance at challenging Alon Day for pole position here at Toban Raceway Park. Tony Mello jumps up to 4th position, retaking that place from Gianluigi Carrao, who got it back from him a few minutes ago. But let's keep watching Matthew Gallia, as he goes down the hill, down the round the double right-hander, which reminds me of Schlossgold at the Red Bull Ring, through a slight left-hand kink, and then into the final couple of corners. That'll look neat and tidy there from Matthew Gallia. Just one corner to go. Needs to get a good exit. The checkered flag will be waiting for him, and it's, well, he's backed out of it. So Matthew Gallia pulling into the pits. I thought his lap was looking maybe too tidy, and it was. So Gallia will not be going any faster. What about Alon Day? He doesn't really need to. His main rivals, Gallia and Kumar, are both in the pits, not going to go any faster. Tony Mello also pulling into the pits, as is Gianluigi Carrao. They're not going to get another chance. Did Alon Day make it out to the pits in time to actually start another flying lap? I'm not sure whether he did. I'm not sure whether he got through in time to see the checkered flag or not, and whether he's still on a timed lap. I'm sure we'll see when he comes around the start-finish line. He still looks to be pushing. Just ahead of him on the road, he's got Thomas Lechevre, who doesn't appear to be going any faster himself. Out of the final corner, he's in the slipstream. They're both going to cross the line. What does Alon Day do? It doesn't really matter. Lechevre goes 6th, and Day does improve on his lap, just to prove that he can. 1 minute 0.367. Really, really good there from Day. And it's Day on pole position, followed by Gallia, Kumar, Mello, Carrao, Lechevre, Paul, Scott Muscat, Bordonado, and Cheverwook. That is the order. Those are the 10 drivers separated by just over 1.6 seconds. And Alon Day, who spins it on his in-lap, sets a well-deserved and well-earned pole position. We go for an advertising break now. Join us back in a couple of minutes for the 25-minute race. 25-lap race, sorry. So, welcome back to Toban Raceway Park. This is still the Casual Wednesday BTCC casual race, of course, from Toban with World Pro Racing. Yeah, we've just been for a quick break, but if you were joining us before the break, you would have seen that Alon Day has set a fantastic pole position. That is, of course, NASCAR Cup Series driver and NASCAR Will and Euro Series champion Alon Day. And alongside him on the front row of the grid will be Matthew Galea, sorry. Definitely the Ford Focus, proving to be the car to have out of the leading drivers so far today. Although that is not to take away from the efforts of those drivers. They did a fantastic job, and we have a 25-minute race coming up in just a few minutes. So. The checker flag is about to fall for the short warm-up session, the unofficial practice session right before the race. And we are about to get underway. Just to check, so I don't mess this up last week, if Justin, if you could drop me a message quickly to say if we're going to have a formation lap or not, that would be very handy. No formation lap. Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, of course, last week I wasn't aware of that. But yeah, whatever the case, no formation lap. We will be going straight from a standing start, which means that the drivers won't have much opportunity to warm their tyres, or any opportunity at all, rather, to warm the tyres. They just need to make sure they're right on it from the start, and they just need to make sure that they're cautious through the first couple of corners. So, to run you through the order again, it's going to be Alon Day on pole position, followed by Matthew Galea, Naranjan Kumar, Tony Mellor, Gianluigi Carrao, Thomas Lechevre, Jimmy Paul, Sheldon Scott Muscat, Jose Luis Bordonado, and Kashimira Chevalier, sorry. So 10 drivers, and we are about to get underway. Let's watch for the lighting gantry. We have 5 red lights, and when they go out, we will be underway. Go! Away we go, the green flags wave, and Alon Day gets away from the start, but the Subaru gets the better start. Naranjan Kumar is coming up from the left-hand side, and Kumar takes the lead. Naranjan Kumar leads into turn 1, and Galea is coming back at him, and Galea in the bright pink suit, Ford Focus gets the lead back. There's slight wheel-to-wheel contact between Day and Kumar, and Day keeps himself on the inside, forces Kumar wide, and goes back through into second place. So after all of that, Galea has taken the lead of the race. Lechevre is off at the back, but all 10 drivers appear to have made it through relatively cleanly. And we're still side by side for 6th position between Bordonado and Paul further back. 2 Subarus going at it, and Paul will be on the outside heading towards the downhill right-hand and slight contact. Paul turns in, Bordon was still there, and Muscat's coming through on the right-hand side and all of that as well. But Paul keeps the place, so it's Bordonado 6th, Paul 7th, and Muscat 8th. Muscat thought about a little dive there into the final sector, but knew it wasn't going to come of anything. So, after the opening lap of the race, Galea is going to lead us through, followed by Day, who didn't get the best of starts at all. And then Kumar, Mellor, Carrao. And we have a couple of cars off in the background. Muscat is in the pits, and Lechevre spun again. So Lechevre has found himself facing backwards twice on the opening lap of the race. That's a shame. And I'm not entirely sure why Muscat needed to pit after the opening lap of the race there. Maybe he had slight damage, and maybe that means he was involved with Lechevre near the start. Incidentally, Lechevre's spin at the end of lap 1, he did completely by himself, just getting over the grass. And his incident towards the start of lap 1 was caused when Mellor got slightly sideways up ahead of him, and Lechevre couldn't avoid him. Meanwhile, looking back to the head of the field, Mellor himself was taking a little look there on the back of Naranjan Kumar, and we've lost our first runner, Jimmy Paul. So I'm afraid Jimmy Paul is our first retirement from this race. And he lost connection, it seems, at the end of lap 1, at the end of turn 1 on lap 2, just pulled off to the side of the road and disappeared. So unfortunately, our first retirement. There's still 9 cars running in this BTCC casual race, and it seems that the closest two near the front of the field is going to be Kumar versus Mellor. We're just about to complete the 3rd lap of the race. Out of 25 laps, it's going to be roughly a 25-minute race, due to each lap taking roughly a minute. I'm expecting it to be more like 26 minutes, but still that is as little as makes no difference. And still they continue to run in single file as they head towards the end of the third lap of this race. Still, it seems that Kumar and Mella are the closest drivers together near the front of the field after sticking together after the start. Kumar, it looked as if he was going to lead into turn one, and then just got off the line and out of the rhythm, and got passed back by Galea and Day. And well, he had a brief moment in the sun, would briefly have been classified as the race leader, although still doing a good job to run in third position at this point in time. Third lap complete, we're on to the fourth. Galea still continues to lead, but Day is closing in. About a lap ago, they were separated by about 1.3 seconds. Now they're separated by just 9/10 of a second. So Day has pulled in 4/10 of a second in a lap. He's definitely chasing Galea back in, as we expected him to do after his qualifying performance. And Alon Day, the most famous driver on the grid, our pole sitter, continues to race. Excuse me while I sneeze. Excuse me, apologies about that. I didn't quite mute myself in time. But whatever the case, onto the start-finish straight, Galea pulls over to the right-hand side of the track to defend from Alan Day. Excuse me, I have no idea why this way. Well, whatever the case, Galea and Day, I can't stop sneezing. I'm so sorry. Oh my word. Galea and Day leading this race 1-2, and the gap between them is 7/10 of a second now, so it's come down by another 2/10 of a second on that last lap. Day definitely hounding Galea. I'm so sorry. And just behind them as well, it's getting relatively close between Kumar and Mella in third and fourth. They're now separated by less than a second as well, but Mella running slightly wide there, touching the curb there on the outside of the long downhill right-hander. Galea getting over the curb on the inside, and we've lost Gianluigi Carrao. So Carrao, I'm afraid, has spun it into the barrier, and he's done that all by himself. It looks as if he just locked up and went wide through the downhill right-hander, got over the curb, spun the car around, and he's been into the barrier. Has he reversed and continued on his way? Yes, he has, in 8th position, but he's lost places to Bordonado, to Muscat, to Lechevre, and that's put him down in 8th position as of yet. Day takes another 2/10 of a second out of Galea. The gap is just half a second now at this point in time. And Mella takes another couple of tenths of a second out of Kumar as well. So the podium position's anyone's game at this point in time, as we're about to complete lap 6 of the race. As another thing I should mention, I'm not entirely sure whether the drivers can do this full race without stopping. I can imagine that they probably can. However, actually, no, to be honest, I don't think they can. As I've raced these cars before, and the tyres do go off very, very quickly, especially the fronts on the front-wheel drive cars. But we'll see as the race continues. Meanwhile, Chevrolet's past Carrao. Carrao's gone off again at the same corner, in exactly the same way too. Oh my goodness. Well, obviously, just not being wise to his mistakes, or maybe there was something wrong with the car, and this time he's retired from the race. So I'm afraid 2 retirements already. It's already quite a diminished grid, down to 8 cars remaining. And again, Day takes another 2/10 of a second out of Galea. Meanwhile, Muscat's off. So Sheldon Scott Muscat has been into the tyre wall. He's run wide at turn 1. He's dipped 2 wheels into the grass, and when that happens, and one side of the car has drastically more grip than the other side of the car is just going to loop around on itself and spin. And that is exactly what just happened to Sheldon Scott Muscat, who returns to this race, but in last position in 8th. He's been passed by Lechevre and Chevrolet. And at the end of another lap's worth of racing, Day is right on the tail of Galea. Now he needs to just start looking for an overtaking opportunity, because this track isn't the easiest track to overtake on. There isn't really any heavy braking zones, and he's into him! He's into the back of Galea's car! there was slight nose to front contact, a bit of a punt, and he's coming back at him on the right hand side. They both somehow managed to keep it on the road. Obviously, he pulled to the right, and he wasn't expecting Galea to defend just as hard as he did. But Galea had every right to do so. Now Day coming back at him, trying to force Galea into a mistake as they go down the hill and into the left-hand flick. And now Day going for the switchback and the undercut, but not quite working through that point in time. And I think Galea will actually have the better run out of these last couple of corners on the circuit. But what a close call that was towards the start of lap 8 there. Going to have a look back at exactly just what happened between the two of them. It seems that sorry, as I struggle to find the right point in the footage, it seems that Day went to the right hand side and there was a gap, and Galea went to defend, and suddenly the gap closed and they made contact, but they both managed to keep it on the road and in contention, which is good to see. And now they continue to fight for that lead, the lead of the race. Still separated by less than half a second, and Day definitely not relieving the pressure. In fact, he's getting the switchback and they make contact again, this time side to side, and Day's made it stick. It looks as if Galea had to concede the position. Day runs over the grass on the outside there, but manages to make the move stick. And Alon Day, who I've never seen racing a front-wheel drive car before, goes to lead the race ahead of Matthew Galea. It's Day from Galea, Kuma and Mella. And talking of Kuma and Mella, they're still in a little fight of their own. And then it's Bordonado and Lechevre's off. Lechevre is spinning. No, bit of a save there. Oh no, he hasn't saved it. So Lechevre does spin. It looked initially as if he was going to save that one, but Lechevre from 6th place is now having to recover to the track, and through goes Scott Muscat, who had an incident of his own just a couple of laps ago. I'm going to have a look back at exactly what started that there for Lechevre. He must have done it on his own as he was running on his own. It looks as if he just got a little bit squirrely on the entrance to the flick, ran over the grass, saved it initially, but was on the inside for the next corner and couldn't get it slowed down in time, ran over the grass and looped it around, and surely his rear tyres will be absolutely cooked at this point in time. And he's just been passed by Cheverwook for 7th position as well. They're in a scrap of their own further back. Meanwhile, what can Galea do? Can he stick with Alon Day? He's in the slipstream heading down the start-finish straight, but nowhere near close enough to launch an attack at this point in time. Needs to stick with Day. Maybe if there are pit stops later on, he can really attack for the race win again, but it really does depend on many factors. Of course, I don't know whether they will be making pit stops later or not. It all depends on how well they can conserve the tyres. And since we haven't seen touring car racing on rFactor 2 at this circuit before, we don't quite know just how badly it'll be affecting them. It would have been nice to have spoken to one of the drivers before the race to see, but oh well. And now the real scrap in this race is for 3rd and 4th between Kuma and Mella. They've been together since right at the start of this race and Mella hasn't really released the pressure. And Galea is into the pits, so indeed we are going to be seeing pit stops today. Galea appears to be the first of our front runners to pit in a possible undercut attempt on Alan Day. Oh, has he missed his pit box? No, it looks as if he was having to reverse there to get back into his grid slot, but I'm not entirely sure whether he did. Oh, he did. Did he? I'm a little bit confused by that, because he seemed to be stopped for a very long time. There's a chance that something just went horribly wrong for Galea, but I'm not entirely sure if it did or not. Okay, well I'll keep an eye on that. I'm sure we'll see, depending on where he comes out in relation to the other drivers around him. And Yeah, I was going to say if we are going to see pit stops, we're going to see them around this point in the race as Alon Day pits from the lead. So we are indeed going to see pit stops. And Day's missed his box, and that was quite considerably. So Day definitely missing his box there, undeniably so. Could that cost him the lead of the race? Eventually, well, on the road, Tony Mella takes the lead. Kumar and Bordonado also go through. They surely will be stopping before long. Whoa, as Kumar loses it, Kumar is spinning. He's in the wall. Naranjan Kumar loses it from second on the road. Effectively, I think, fourth in the order. And that was a big lose there from Naranjan Kumar, who just, well, lost control of the rear, which snapped away from him. He got over the grass on the outside, and around he went. And actually, he dropped a long way off the tail of Tony Mella even before that happened. So was there a previous spin for Naranjan Kumar? Quite possibly. I'm going to look back to see exactly what happened between the two of them. There was towards the start of the lap, and he lost it all by himself, just looping the car around. So maybe Kumar's rear tyre's going off, and maybe he needs a pit stop. So yeah, whatever the case, couple of big mistakes being made from these leading drivers, and Day has come out 4 seconds ahead of Galea. So indeed, Galea also missed his box. And, well, that's ironic. The two previous race leaders both missed their pit boxes, and now both have a lot of ground to make up in this race. So, drama here at Toban Raceway Park. We're about halfway through the race so far. And, oh my goodness, I see people have been making fun of my sneeze in the YouTube chat, with World Pro Racing getting my award for that, saying Pikachu. I suppose I do sound like that when I sneeze. Apologies about that. And also Triple Crown Racing still joining us, saying he's supporting the thick Subaru with 2 C's. That, of course, meaning slightly large in slang terms, and it is definitely the biggest car on the track. But you know, bigger sometimes does mean better, and the Super, I think, has the most power of all of these cars. It's also one of the most successful, of course, winning the championship with Ash Sutton in 2017, the actual British Touring Car Championship, that is. Now, when are our leaders going to blink? Tony Mella, Jose Luis Bordonado, and Naranjan Kumar. Did they possibly start on the harder compound of tyre? I really am just making that up at this point in time, because I'm not entirely sure about that. But whatever the case, we'll see exactly when they are going to be making their pit stops, probably slightly later. Going for that longer first stint, shorter second stint. And it'll be interesting to see how that works out, and where they come out in relation to Alan Day and Matthew Galea, who both had very subpar pit stops. Although the good thing for those is that they haven't come out in traffic. Yeah, they've got Chevrolet between them, but Chevrolet is a lap down and has been getting out of the way for them quite nicely. Le Chevrolet is a couple of seconds up the road as of yet, and they may well be catching him towards, well, in a few minutes' time, but not just yet. Meanwhile, Kumar is definitely the driver I expected to pit a few laps ago after those 2 spins. However, he is still running on the track. And now Alan Day has the trouble of attempting to get past Thomas Lechevre on the track. And Lechevre defends, and he really doesn't need to be doing that. He's just costing himself time with that, because he's not effectively racing Alan Day here, unless Lechevre thinks he's going to do this race without a pit stop. Oh, and he gets over the curb, and Lechevre gets very sideways, and actually defends very heavily from Alan Day there, down into the 93 right-hander, over 93 right-hander, but Day manages to pass him. And that could have ended in tears there. That was so close between the two of them. And Lechevre there putting up a really robust defence. I suppose this is a casual race, so why not have a bit of fun, as Lechevre was doing. He is entitled to do that by the rules. And, well, it was pretty good defence from Thomas Lechevre without that big slide. But also a good attack from Alan Day to get past him. And now, Matthew Galea will be feeling pretty worried about all of this, because he would have seen that all happening up ahead of him, and he will know that he now has to do exactly the same thing when he gets onto the back of Thomas de Chevret. So as the race continues, still our leaders are yet to stop. Mella, Bordonado, Kuma and Muscat are 1, 2, 3 and 4, and none of those have been into the pits yet. However, also not pitting is Thomas de Chevret, who's just been passed by Alan Day. And the 3 drivers who have stopped so far are Day, Galea and Chevrolet. Those are the 8 drivers still remaining in this race. Mella stays out another lap. Bordonado stays out another lap. Alan Day is catching up to Scott Muscat. And if I was Muscat, I would probably be pitting about now to avoid getting into a battle. And avoid risking losing time by all of that. Meanwhile, Kuma's lost it again! Oh my goodness! Naranjan Kuma, who we saw having a couple of spins a couple of laps ago, has spun again, this time coming out to the final corner. He's gone over the grass, he's looped it around, he's been into the barrier, and around he went. That's very unfortunate for Naranjan Kuma, and he's just been passed in all of that by Bordonado and Day. And Kuma will be gutted at himself, the driver who led the race for all of half a corner, and then ran in 3rd place, held off Tony Mella for a long time. I'm afraid has now started to really throw it away and drop down the order. And if he's not careful, he's going to come under attack from Sheldon Scott Muscat, who also had an off of his own earlier in this race. Matthew Galea now right on the tail of Thomas de Chevret. This is technically for position. Needs to get past him quickly and cleanly to avoid being seriously held up, and the Chevret makes it easy for him by running over the grass. I don't think that was intentional, but still, it doesn't really matter. And Galea does get through into 6th on the road. And I'm starting to doubt, actually, as we're on lap 19 out of the 25, whether the leaders will actually stop or not, or whether they'll be able to make this stick. And if so... Oh, as we've lost Scott Muscat. Okay, I'll get back to that point. Sorry, Scott Muscat's been off at the first corner for the 2nd time, in exactly the same way as he did earlier on, just this time he's had a heavier clout into the wall, the rear end of the car lifting up as he did so. That's a big hit. He smoked the engine. I'm afraid Sheldon Scott Muscat is our 3rd retirement, so 7 cars remaining from the 10 that started. Anyway, just to get back to my point from a minute ago, if those drivers at the lead of the race can do this whole thing without stopping, and if they can hold their positions, which is looking ever more likely as the race continues, that would be an incredible result from Tony Mella and Jose Luis Bordonado. They will absolutely deserve this. Of course, Tony Mella started 4th. Bordonado. I called him Maldonado. I'm so sorry. Oh my goodness. Bordonado, sorry, started in 9th position. So if he was to finish 2nd from 9th, that would be an incredible result. And one that would be very well deserved through a fantastic strategy. So again, shout out to everyone watching us on YouTube or Facebook. We're live on both. Just search up World Pro Racing and you will absolutely find us. And yeah, if you're watching and you're enjoying, make sure you leave us a comment, say you're here. We've already seen, of course, Triple Crown Racing and Third Head 2. Two of my best friends, actually, who I'm sure I will be speaking to either tonight or very, very soon. Hope you're enjoying your holiday, Jack, and hope you're enjoying your day in general, Chris. And yeah, hello to everyone else tuning in. We are on lap 21 of 25 now, so just 5 laps including this one to go. And to be honest, I think the leaders can do this. It's going to be very tight on tyre life at the end, but they just need to make sure they're careful about it. Tony Mella has a 13.2 second lead over Jose Luis Bordonado, and Bordonado himself has 14 seconds back to Alon Day in 3rd place. And this is a very legitimate, very well-deserved win if they can take it. You don't always have to be the quickest driver on the road to win a race and deserve it. which is something I wish more people appreciated and understood. And yeah, if they were to finish in this order, I know I'm speaking slightly too soon, and I really hope I'm not cursing anything, but if they were to finish in this order, then my driver of the day would absolutely have to be Tony Mellor, who flicks left now through the left-hand flick, as I'm calling it. No official corner name for that, of course, or indeed for any of the corners on this track. So after 22 laps of this race, it's still Mellor leading from Bordonado, Day, Kumar, Galea, Lechevre and Cheveluk, sorry. The 7 drivers remaining in this race. We're on lap 23 out of 25, just 3 laps including this one remaining. This has been an absolutely fantastic race, very entertaining, very interesting in terms of the strategy. We're also getting close for 4th place. Galea has been catching up to Naranjan Kumar, and Kumar will be on absolutely shattered tyres after its several spins. Galea will be on fresh tyres because he made a pit stop. One thing to point out actually is that all of the drivers who stopped were front-wheel drive. So maybe it seems that front-wheel drive definitely cooking their tyres much faster than the rear-wheel drive Subarus. We've seen that happening in the past, and I really wouldn't be surprised. So absolutely Subaru car of the day as well. Meanwhile, Galea gets underneath Kumar and they very nearly make contact, but he manages to get through into 4th position. There he goes, 4th place to Galea. So it seems you really need to find a balance in this race. And yeah, the Focus may well have been the fastest car and the best in qualifying, but the Subaru definitely the best car for the race. I personally would absolutely take a Subaru. Towards the end of the course we go now. We are on lap 24, the penultimate lap of the race. Who's got fastest laps so far? I'm going to look through that. I think it's been Alon Day with a 1:01.070, and indeed it was. So a good lap there from Alon Day, but he will probably be kicking himself that he didn't take a Subaru for this race. Still, even with the Subaru, these guys up front still needed to conserve the tyres. They still needed to avoid making mistakes, much as some of their rivals such as Kumar and Lechevre did not do. And as we head on to the last lap of the race, Tony Mellor has a fantastic 15.1 second advantage over Jose Luis Bordonado, who comes out of the final corner. And the gap has come out, I think. No, it's come in actually to 14.869. Mellor, sorry, just taking it easy on this last lap of the race. This has been a very, very well-driven race from him. A fantastic performance from both him and the Subaru. Conserved its tyres fantastically, and he just hasn't made any big mistakes, hasn't thrown it away like some of his rivals have done. Towards the end of the race he comes, towards the end of the lap, and Tony Mellor is going to take a very well-deserved victory here at Toban. 2 corners to go, a left and a right. Final corner, and Tony Mellor, my absolute driver of the day, crosses the comes down the start-finish line. The start-finish straight, sorry, and crosses the start-finish line to win at Toban. Fantastic performance in our BTCC casual race. Utterly, utterly brilliant. Jose Luis Bordonado is going to come out to the final corner as well, and he is going to claim a fantastic 2nd place from 9th on the grid. Brilliant, brilliant drive from him. Alon Day is going to be gutted with 3rd after all of that. Partially affected, of course, by him missing his pit box, but also by him just not being able to conserve the tyres on that Ford. Galea is going to finish 4th. There he goes. He will also be gutted. Naranjan Kumar will be 5th, and he arguably has the most reason to be gutted of any of these drivers, as he was running ahead of Mert and then had 3 spins, remember. Thomas Lechevre out to the final corner to finish 6th, and 7th place is going to go the way of our final finisher, and only Mercedes to finish this race, unfortunately. Kashimiresh Cheveluk, who doesn't even bother seeing the checkered flag, just pulls straight into the pit lane. I'm not sure whether he knows that he could finish the race on this lap. Whatever the case, he pulls into the pits and doesn't even see the checkered flag, does he? Well, he stopped in his pit box. Can he get going again and do a Schumacher? Oh, he's actually missed his pit box, delaying us even further. That's kind of funny. By a Schumacher, of course, I'm referencing when Schumacher won the race in the pit lane at Silverstone 98. 99, sorry. No, 98, because 99 is when he broke his legs. Unless I'm getting that the wrong way around. Excuse me. Anyway, Tony Mella has won the race. To run you through the again, as there we go. Chevrolet does manage to finish in the pit lane, incidentally, after all of that. So, yeah, to run you through the order, Tony Mella is our winner, followed by Jose Luis Bordonado, Alon Day, Matthew Gallia, Naranjan Kumar, Thomas de Chevret, Kashimir Chevrolet, and then we have the retirements, Sheldon Scott Muscat, Jean-Louis Gicarao, and Jimmy Poole. Now, don't go anywhere because we do have interviews with the leading drivers coming right up. But in the meantime, I've got to remind you of next week's casual race, and it's going to be a fantastic one. We're going to be racing 1991 Formula One cars. So definitely tune in for that. And if you fancy getting involved in that as well, just go to www.worldproracing.com and research our next casual race, and you can absolutely get involved in that. It's going to be taking place at Interlagos, of course, in much the style of the race that saw Ayrton Senna winning on home soil. We're going to be seeing Benettons, McLarens, Ferraris, I think also Williamses and Minardis. But anyway, in the meantime, we're going to be interviewing the podium finishers for this BTCC casual race here at Toban. So let's start from third place and move eventually on to our winner. So first of all, Alon Day. Hello, Alan.
Hey, how are you doing?
Hello, and welcome to World Pro Racing, your first ever start. Have you done much sim racing before? What's it like transitioning from a real life racing car, such as a NASCAR, for example, and going to a simulator racing car in the virtual world?
No, first of all, actually, I came into racing from simulators. So when I was a kid,
Okay.
so yeah, it's not a big transition for me. I'm usually drive on a daily basis, just not racing in this kind of racing. And yeah, it was fun. Uh, No, not bad.
I actually didn't know that. Thank you very much for saying that. Yeah, so today you turned up, you stuck the car on pole position. Just what does it take exactly to be fast in a BTCC car around a track like this?
I think it's more about understanding of front wheel drive. Usually, most of the cars we drive in any kind of simulators, usually it's rear wheel drive. And a lot of people don't understand and adapt themselves good enough for a front wheel drive. And I think that's the major advantage, the
Well,
biggest.
whatever the case, the Ford definitely proved to be the fastest car by just how much you and Matthew dominated qualifying. However, then of course you got into the race, and your tire life really let you down there. You must say.
Actually, when I tested the car before, I was 100% sure that those tires will never last a complete race. So that's the reason why we decided to make a pit stop. And I thought everybody will stop for changing tires. I was surprised to see guys in front of me survive without having any pit stops. I don't know if it was rear-wheel drive or front, but yeah, congratulations to them.
Yeah, all cars, I'm afraid, that didn't make a pit stop were rear-wheel drive. So it appears that it was the fact that front-wheel drive cars just cook their tires a bit quicker. But whatever the case, you must be pretty disappointed at having lost a chance for a win.
Yep, it's super annoying. Um, yeah, that's what it is. That's racing. That's part of it. Next race, that's for sure.
And talking of next race, actually, um, let's look at. So you, of course, are a very busy driver in real life, and can I quickly just say you've done amazingly in real life, and that's yeah, it's amazing to have you here. Um, but yeah, you must have quite a packed schedule. Should we expect to see you back in the future?
Yeah, it's not easy. I'm traveling quite a lot, especially this season right now in the NASCAR Whelen Euro Series. It's pretty tough, and yeah, so I invest a lot of time training and preparing myself to those races. But as long as I have some free time and I'm able to come here to drive on a simulator, I would love to, and I really hope also to drive next week.
Okay, thank you very much. But anyway, we will see you whenever we see you next, I suppose. And yeah, good luck in that, and good luck in your real life endeavors as well with the NASCAR Will and Euro Series. I may well pop down to Brands Hatch if I can make it. So yeah, good luck
You're
in
more
that.
than welcome. You should come.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, see you, Alan.
Cheers. Thank you.
Okay, next up we move slightly up the order and go to second place, where we meet Jose Luis Bordonado. Hello, Jose.
Hello.
So coming into this round, I bet
So,
you weren't expecting it to be quite how it was, were you?
sorry, but my English is very bad.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, never mind.
Tony peut traduire peut-être.
I didn't listen to the question. What did you say? So I can
Okay,
translate.
let's do a bit of translation. So I was saying that coming into this round, were you expecting it to go? I can't imagine you were expecting it to go quite how it ended up.
I do the translation and he will answer in French and I will translate the answer. So, en gros, est-ce que tu t'attendais à ce que ça se passe comme ça?
Bah non, étant donné que c'est ma première course, j'étais simplement là pour me faire plaisir et effectivement, j'ai eu la surprise de terminer deuxième.
So it's his first race on a track actually. So he just came here for fun and he got fun. So that's it.
Okay, well that's yeah, that's fantastic. Also, to keep it clean, a lot of the drivers around you at the start didn't quite didn't quite make it through. There were a couple of spins and things, and to conserve your tires like that and end up finishing second from ninth on the grid in a race like this, you must be very very proud of yourself.
Donc là, en gros, de réussir à être propre et de conserver ses pneus jusqu'à la fin pour faire de 9e à 2e, doit être vraiment fier.
Ouais, effectivement. De toute façon, j'ai eu un bon coach qui m'a dit avant la course qu'effectivement, les pneus et on va dire d'être propre, ça allait être déterminant pour la longueur de la course.
So he had a good coach before the race, telling him to care about the tires and to be clean, and because that will be the main the key points of the race.
Okay, well, thank you very much there, and thank you for translating for Jose Luis Bordonado,
Thank you.
and yeah, and thank you for that interview, Jose. Okay, don't worry
Do I
about
have
it.
to
Good luck in the
translate that
future.
or?
Never mind. Let's move on now to our overall race winner, who did a fantastic job, Tony Mella. Hello, Tony.
Hello.
First of all, thank you for translating that. But anyway, on to your race. So you qualified fourth. You were right in the mix at the start, on the back of Naranjam for the first stint, until he started making a couple of mistakes. Did you expect at all that you'd have such a clean streak to the finish at the end?
I didn't expect anything, to be honest. I was just like, because I didn't train at all, so I came with no expectation, just here to have some fun. And well, I knew that I wasn't sure that front wheel drive car would would make their tire last. But so anyway, I was like, well, we will see what how it unfolds, and in the end, I won. Well, that's cool. I have fun.
Yeah, and how about your tires? Were you worried about them at any stage?
I wasn't really worried because the race wasn't very long, but in the end, yeah, I had complete worn out tires, and so it was a bit hard. So at the beginning, I was like, okay, I'm gonna try to retain myself from going 200%. It was hard, but I made it through.
And how does it feel to have won your first World Pro Racing event ahead of a NASCAR driver?
I didn't know he was a NASCAR driver, actually.
Oh my goodness! Well, now you know.
That's cool, but I don't know. Well, it's just for fun, so I'm not particularly proud or whatever. I'm just happy that I went to the end without anything any problem. So yeah, that's cool. That's cool.
Well, congratulations! It was a fantastic race from you, and yeah, will we be seeing you back in the future?
Probably because I like the concept of casual races with a fixed setup, so you can just find you anyway. You don't have to train your ass off because I don't have the time for that. I'm already in a championship, taking a lot of my time. So yeah, I like the concept. So I will probably be back in the.
Okay, well, thank you for the interview, and congratulations on your fantastic victory.
Thank you.
And yeah, good luck in the future.
Thank you. You too.
So that was that from World Pro Racing today. Unfortunately, I can't hand back to Adrian Figallo like I normally do because, of course, he is still ill. And I want to say, get well soon, Adrian. Hope to see you back next time. Thank you to Justin Mistard for streaming this. Thank you to Adrian Figallo for helping to organize it, and thank you to George Muscat for stewarding live. I'd like to thank our sponsors. Do we have a list of sponsors for me to thank, or okay, let me just. Okay, so we've got GT Omega Racing, we've got visitmalta.com, Gaming Malta, Student Motorsport, Gamers, Z1, and GarminMalta.com. As far as I know, apologies if I missed anyone in that, but whatever the case, that is the end of the broadcast for today. And we will see you in a week's time for the F1 1991 casual race from Interlagos. It's going to be a fantastic one. Goodbye for today, and good night.